You are listening to the international debut of the worldwide Voice of Freedom Network.
Lights out on the hour. It is the hour of the time. Lights out for the curfew of your body, soul, and mind.
You're listening to The Hour of the Time. I'm Pooh.
And I'm William Cooper.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the new hour of the time on the worldwide Voice of Freedom Radio Network. Tonight is our very first broadcast as a network and as the new hour of the time. And I want to welcome all of you who are listening to our world. And I want to let you all know right off the bat that we don't owe anybody anything. We are not obligated to anyone for anything. There is no one in this entire world who can tell us or will tell us what to say ever, or how to conduct our broadcasts on this network, or what time we can air our broadcasts on this network, or anything else. We are totally 100% dedicated to the truth, through documentation, through sourcing, and we will do everything in our power on the hour of the time and on the Worldwide Freedom Radio Network to ensure that the admonition of the Founding Fathers to us will be fulfilled. And that is eternal vigilance. We will be the ones who will root out all of the hidden truths to counteract the lies and the manipulations, the disinformation, the misinformation, the rumors that are promulgated either intentionally or accidentally on all of the other forms of media throughout the world, and we will bring you the documented, the sourced, the truth. We already have 3 regular programs lined up for the new Worldwide Freedom Radio Network. One is Gary Bourgeois, who's going to be bringing you, and I don't know how many nights a week or how long yet, but he's going to be bringing you a technically oriented broadcast concerning radio and satellite. And I'm going to try to talk him into doing it quite often, because a lot of you with satellite dishes are going to be ordering your low-power FM radio transmitter, and you're going to be rebroadcasting as affiliates of this network all of the programming that we're going to provide for you absolutely free. It's not going to cost you a penny. We're also going to make it so that you can put in your own advertising, and we're also going to demand that you advertise or not cut out certain specific advertising that we provide as a network. One of the things that we need you to do immediately is to drop us a letter. If you are already rebroadcasting the hour of the time, I need a letter from you. I need to know who you are, where you're at, what frequency you're broadcasting on, and the times that you are broadcasting. I need to know your schedule. I need to know your call letters so that we can notify people in that area that the hour of the time is being broadcast. Now, if you wish to be a network affiliate and broadcast other programming that will be made available on the Worldwide Freedom Radio Network, you need to indicate that in your letter, because you cannot be a network affiliate without permission from the network. Now, I've always given everybody in the world blanket permission to rebroadcast the hour of the time with no problems. Just do it. And many of you have been. That still goes. But I cannot give blanket permission for the network or for everybody else who's going to be broadcasting on the network unless you indicate that you want to be a network affiliate. Because to be a network affiliate, you're going to have to follow some rules, and you're going to have to make some commitments to us. And in return for that, we will make you a network affiliate. We will provide you with network identification tapes so that every hour on the hour you can identify yourself as an affiliate of the Worldwide Freedom Radio Network. And ladies and gentlemen, over a period of time, there's going to be a great distinction connected with being affiliated with the Worldwide Freedom Radio Network. It's going to be a great honor, and honors will come to you as the people in your area begin to identify themselves with the thoughts and the ideas and the truth that's broadcast by the Worldwide Freedom Radio Network. Now, I know that many of you are sitting there wondering why this is called the Worldwide Freedom Radio Network instead of the American Freedom Radio Network. And I'm going to tell you why right now, and I hope you're listening, and I hope you're really paying attention. Because you have to understand these basic principles and ideals, or you're lost, and you can never be free. You see, freedom is not particular just to America. All people in this whole world want to be free. That's why so many people risk so much to come to America. Do you realize that if they could be free in the land in which they originally were born, they would not be coming to America? They would not be taking your jobs? They would not be on welfare here. They would not be committing crimes if they can't get a job here. Do you realize that they come here for the same reasons you would come here if you had been born in an oppressive state where there was an economy where you had no chance of ever providing a decent living for your family? They come here because their children are hungry. They come here because America, in the form of the 50 several states, united for the common or mutual benefit and protection in the United States of America, is the only place upon the face of this entire earth that has ever, in the history of the world, truly been free. Where the citizens of this country, the citizens of the several states, have truly been kings and queens in their own right, sovereign individuals who created governments that served them. Now someone wants to destroy that. If we are the only source of freedom in the whole world, in the entire history of the world, what does that say for the rest of the world if we lose it now? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you with no reservations, and I can fully, factually document this statement 100% and have been doing so for the last 4 years and 3 months, that if we fail in our battle to maintain our sovereignty, our creator-endowed rights, protected by that instrument known as the Constitution for the United States of America and the first 10 amendments known as the Bill of Rights, then the entire world moves backwards in human evolution. And we become once again owned by someone, something, some state, some government, some emir, sultan, emperor, president, or maybe even someone who declares himself to be God, which has happened many times in history, or some pope. Freedom with responsibility is the ultimate achievement in human evolution, if there is a human evolution. And when I'm talking about evolution, I'm not talking about being descended from some turtle that crawled out of the sea and became an ape and jumped up in a tree and became a bird, and somehow humans resulted. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the evolution of thought and status and government and ideals and principles. That's the evolution that I mean when I say evolution. I don't mean that you came from a monkey when I use that term. There's no proof of that anywhere. There never has been, and up until this moment, there probably never will be. Evolution is a means of destroying what we have achieved over the millennia of the human occupation of this planet. There is also no proof that man sprang from some cosmic bang whatsoever. But the real truth of the history of the world is more in line with the creation story of the Bible than it ever has been with the theory of evolution. Man, in his effort to free himself from restrictions, moral codes, and the law, has created, without any proof whatsoever, this theory of evolution in order to place man upon the throne of the universe and seat the crown upon his own head, so that man will not be answerable to anything. Now, some of you who may be first-time listeners tonight, and I doubt that, under the circumstances, you're probably all long-time listeners. But if there are anyone who, I should say, if there is anyone who is a first-time listener, you may not understand that last statement. But I've spent the last 4.5 years documenting and proving that statement, specifically through the Mystery Babylon series. And understand, ladies and gentlemen, that this is not a religious broadcast, although religion will enter into the debate and into the subject matter of this broadcast many, many times over the coming weeks, months, and years. In fact, no subject is taboo on this broadcast, but nothing will be discussed that is not or cannot be thoroughly documented and sourced. It does not mean that it has to be absolutely true. For instance, we may air broadcasts that discuss and document and source and prove some of the allegations of those who would destroy freedom for the world. We may, on some of these broadcasts, document and source the erroneous conclusions of those who would destroy freedom for all of the peoples of the world. When, ladies and gentlemen, the opposition is right, we will document that, and we will talk about it, and we will admit it. When they are wrong, we will document it, source it, talk about it, and we will destroy whatever they are propounding to be right. If liberalism is right on some subject, we will also admit that and document it and source it on this broadcast. If conservatism is right, we will document it and admit it and source it on this broadcast. Because there is only one thing that we are concerned about. We are not concerned about propounding conservatism or liberalism or despotism or anything else. We are only and solely concerned with delivering the truth so that all men and women who live upon the face of this earth can move toward freedom with responsibility. so that we can be happy, so that we can pursue life, liberty, and property. For property is the source of happiness. No one who ever lived in a communist or a socialist regime has ever maintained any sort of self-respect, dignity, or long-lasting happiness, because that is slowly sucked from them, taken away from them. So if you want to know the political bent of this broadcast, it is simply a proponent of freedom for all peoples, of all races, of all religions, of all nationalities, all over this world. And we believe that the very best way to maintain that status is to leave people alone to develop and prosper and evolve according to their own desires, wishes, and local mandates and requirements, wherever they may live, in whatever country they may live, in whatever status they may live. We are against despotism. We are against dictators. We are against those who wish to injure and harm others. We are against terrorism in all its forms. We are proponents of the right to keep and bear arms of all peoples, understanding that freedom must be protected, and the only way for the people to protect themselves against despotism is through the right to keep and bear arms. It is their only method against those who have the ability to perpetrate monstrous crimes using monstrous weapons to enslave whole populations. You see, Mao Zedong was exactly 100% right when he said, all power emanates from the barrel of a gun. He who has no gun has no power. Be very, very, very suspicious and even hostile towards those who would disarm you, no matter who you are, no matter what color you are, no matter what religion you belong to, no matter what country you live in, no matter what part of this earth you occupy, no matter how rich, poor, or destitute you are. No matter whether you live under a tree or in a mansion, you cannot and will not remain free without the means to protect your freedom from those who would take it against you. You see, this country was founded upon the principles and ideals that freedom, sovereignty, individual rights given to each human being by God were manifested here. I've heard all the arguments saying that that's not true, that the fact that the early Americans owned slaves negated all of that, but it is true. You see, because they believe that each individual has the right to contract. Oh, yes. And I'm going to tell you, if you're listening and you're black, you'd better listen very carefully to me, because you've been biting on a deadly pill that will destroy your freedom. It's designed to enslave you in this socialist system, because you don't understand what really happened to your ancestors. And you don't really want to, because it's really neat to be a victim. Not everybody feels sorry for you. I'm going to tell you right now, no one in this world can afford to be victims anymore, have anyone feel sorry for them, because that is the road to slavery. Euphemistic slavery though it may be, it is still slavery. You must learn to stand up upon your own 2 feet and be responsible. Admit the mistakes of the past. Don't blame your ills or misfortune on anyone else. I don't care what color you are. I don't care what religion you are. I don't care what group you belong to. I don't care where you came from. You must learn to stand up, claim your Creator-endowed rights, claim your freedom, wherever you are in this world. And if you're in this country, it's much easier. All you have to do is learn the very basic points of law, learn what the Constitution and the Bill of Rights were really all about. Stand up on your 2 feet and claim all of that history. Slavery has nothing to do with anything that is occurring today. It is a battle between those who would control other human beings and those who do not wish to be controlled, and it crosses all barriers: racial, religion, point of original ancestral origin, and everything else that you can think of. And over the many nights of the future of this particular broadcast, you're going to hear a lot about that history and what it really means. You're going to hear many more broadcasts on the Worldwide Freedom Radio Network, because this network is about principles and ideals, not about borders. The man or woman who claims my country right or wrong is wrong. The battle must be over principles and ideals, and nothing else. If the battle is over a boundary, then you have lost before you have begun. A man or woman without principles and ideals for which they are ready and willing to die for at any given moment, ladies and gentlemen, are already dead and are of no consequence or use whatsoever, not even to themselves. Who said that? I did. It's an original quote. And I mean every word of it. It's the truth. And if you don't believe it, you sit down and you study the men and women who throughout history have made a difference and who have given us all that we have that is worth anything today. And you'll find that they believed in that principle, although it was never written or spoken until I put it into words. Ladies and gentlemen, the hour of the time is brought to you by Swiss America Trading. They specialize in hard assets, non-reportable assets, real money, the coin of the realm, so to speak. If you really want to put your money into something that never loses its value, that will make sure that the investment that you have made, the sweat of your brow, the toil of years, whatever worth that you have right now that you never want to lose because of the fact that it has taken from your life, you need to put it in the only thing that has ever existed in the entire world, which it always maintains its value. Oh, well, if it maintains its value, why does the price fluctuate? The price fluctuates only in comparison to the presumed value of the phony paper that you carry in your pocket. As that paper inflates the value of real money, gold and silver in its various forms, remains solid. You see, ladies and gentlemen, throughout the history of the world, there has only been two commodities, gold and silver, which hold their purchasing power or their worth, their intrinsic value that is built in. It's there. You cannot take it away because it's real. It can be used for other things than a medium of exchange. It does not rust easily. It does not corrode easily. In fact, gold does not corrode or rust at all. Silver corrodes very, very slowly over many, 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 many years. In fact, gold that has been in the ocean since the 1600s has been recovered without any loss in value or weight. Silver that has been in the ocean since the 1600s has been recovered today with just a small loss in the total weight and value of that silver due to corrosion. If it had not been in the corrosive salt sea environment, it probably would not have lost any. You can buy just as much with 1 ounce of silver today as you could 1,000 years ago. You'll be able to buy just as much with 1 ounce of silver as you could 1,000 years ago and today, 100 years from today. No economy ever based upon gold and silver has ever failed in the history of the world. Yet every paper system, which is what you have in your pocket today, has always failed. None have ever survived. I want you to think about those things, and then I want you to call Swiss America Trading. Ask for the latest newsletter. Ask them how you can get your hands on some real money, and thank them for sponsoring not only the Hour of the Time, but the Worldwide Freedom Radio Network. Tell them how much you appreciate their loyalty and their concern about your freedom. 1-800-289-2646. I don't recommend anyone ever take a chance by investing upon anything that does not have an intrinsic value, but many of you might want to investigate the potential of investment in numismatic coins. And I have to warn you right off the bat, it's just based simply upon who wants those coins. It has nothing to do with any value that's built into those coins that will not go away. You see, if tomorrow nobody wanted to collect coins, some of these $50,000 coins would be worth only the gold or silver content within them. And you could lose everything that you have. Conversely, if the population of the world increases and the number of numismatic collectors increases, then you have a chance to make an awful lot of money by investing in numismatic coins, and many people have done so throughout the past. However, I must caution you again, you do so at your own risk, because take all of this demand by collectors away, and they're only worth the gold or silver that is contained within them. You might want to ask Swiss America Trading about your opportunities to invest and profit through investments in numismatic coins. But you must be prepared to take that risk and to lose all, just as you could lose all by purchasing stock on the stock exchange or by putting your money down on a crap table in Las Vegas. Call Swiss America Trading 1-800-289-2646. 1-800-BUY-COIN, and do it now. And folks, they have stood solidly beside us for so long. They have committed themselves to freedom. They have taken the licks. They have stood on the battlefield. They have been shot at, and they have suffered. Do not put your money with someone who has not stood out here on this battlefield with us. 1-800-289-2646. 1-800-BUY-COIN. Most of you listening to this broadcast tonight have satellite dishes and satellite receiving equipment, and you will be interested in joining the Worldwide Freedom Radio Network. If you are, please send us a letter, and we'll send you all the information you need to know how to become an affiliate of the Worldwide Freedom Radio Network. We'll help you with technical advice. We'll do everything we can to make you a success. We will not do everything for you. We will not assume legal responsibility for you. We have enough of our own here. When you step up on the battlefield, you must be prepared to get shot. You also must understand that if you don't step up on this battlefield and fight for freedom of all people, you must be prepared to become enslaved. I don't know about you, but I'd rather be shot. So think about those things, and I'm going to open the phones now, and we'll see what kind of an audience we have during our premier broadcast. And I'd also like to tell you that Michael Cottingham will become one of the regular broadcasters on the Worldwide Freedom Radio Network. Michael Cottingham will be broadcasting about natural herbal remedies, natural health care, herbal medicines, all of those types of things. The number to call is 520-333-4578. It's 520-333-4578. And this is where we're going to get a first sort of indication of what kind of listening audience we have at the present moment. I would also like to ask all of you out there, every single one of you, if you could, or if you would, or if you will, send us a postcard. Tell us if you're listening to the hour of the time, and how many people are listening with you. We need to know that. This is called an audience sampling. So everyone who is listening to this broadcast, whether you're listening on satellite or whether you're listening on a rebroadcast from a low-power FM transmitter in your area, We want to know. You don't have to tell me your name. You don't have to tell me your address. You don't have to tell me your phone number. Just drop me a postcard and say, I live in such and such a city, and I listen to your broadcast either on my satellite dish or on FM 102 or whatever it happens to be, and there are 3 other people who listen with me, or one other person who listens with me, whatever. We need an audience sampling right off the bat to know what we are doing at this moment in order to be able to know when we are improving our audience base and when we begin to grow. This is absolutely necessary. So if you just take a few moments out of your day and drop us a simple, little, very inexpensive postcard. We don't want any personal information. We don't want your address. We don't want your phone number. All we want to know is if you're listening, what you're listening to, either an FM broadcast or a satellite broadcast, and how many people are listening with you. We want to know the city, and if you're listening to a low-power FM transmitter, we want to know the call letters of that transmitter and the city in which it transmits. Simple as that. Please do that for us, ladies and gentlemen. It's very, very important. Let's go to the phones. Good evening. You're on the air.
Hello, Bill. How you doing? This is Tom from California.
I'm doing pretty good. I just love tonight, and I just love broadcasting 2 hours earlier. It means I get to spend more evening quality time with my family and with my children especially, and I really get to tuck Pooh in instead of going in and pretending to tuck her in while she's asleep.
Understand. My wife and I hated to leave your Show area. We're back in California now. But we had a very, very good time at your house, and my wife wanted me to say hello to Pooh and Annie for her.
Well, they're listening, and I'm sure they really appreciate that.
I like the idea that you're having a 2-hour show now, and it sounds like it's going to be a great network.
Well, I think it is going to be a great net. I think it's going to be more than great. I think it's going to be the first time that the people of the entire world, not just the American people, but the people of the entire world have had an opportunity to have someone who's really interested in telling them the truth and documenting it and sourcing it and not spreading rumors and coming off irresponsibly and not promoting some political agenda. We are only interested in the empowerment of all people, of all races, religions, nationalities, and points of ethnic origin, so that they can become free or remain free or learn how to be free, whatever status they're in, and that they will learn the truth, because that's the only way that you can base decisions about freedom or decisions about government or decisions about your life is on the truth. And if you don't have the truth, then you're subject to be manipulated and destroyed or enslaved or whatever the manipulators have in store for you.
I agree 100%, Bill. And the 2 hours, it gives you a lot more chance to get into a lot deeper and a lot more in detail the subjects you cover. And all of us out here with Satellite Dishes are looking real forward to your new show.
Well, great.
All right. Have a good one, Bill.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you for calling. Yeah, the first hour will usually be either a monologue or some kind of an educational programming, so that we can impart to you information, and then the second hour will most likely be open phone, so that we can discuss and talk about what it is that has been the subject of the programming for that particular night. And you're going to find that the hour of time is going to be much different now, because I no longer I've done the messenger thing for 4 years and 3 months. I have, I believe, awakened as many people as I'm going to awaken by doing that messenger thing. And so now I'm going to be more like an ombudsman, a host, so to speak. I'm going to bring you documented information. We'll debate that stuff if you want to debate it, whatever. I believe that it's important that we enter into some kind of dialogue now, rather than a one-sided impartation, which it has been mostly for the last 4 years and 3 months. And it's been that way because nobody knew anything except me and a few others in this country And some people had to be awakened and had to be, this information had to be delivered as a message. And it had to be done in the manner that it was done, because we tried everything else and that didn't work. Good evening, you're on the air. And Annie, I need you to come up here and close this window. Apparently there's a thunderstorm coming, and the wind is raging through here, and the door is just about to slam shut, and you got that in time. So if you can, oh, there goes the door. Quick, get the door, or we're going to have a terrible bang. Thank you. Now, if you could, is the window closed? Okay, great. No, it's not closed. It's going to whistle. Folks, you're going to hear some whistling and stuff because a thunderstorm is coming up, and the wind is blowing through here, and there's nothing we can do about it right now. So, good evening. You're on the air. Hello? Well, I guess that person didn't stick with us. So I'll just hang up there, and we'll wait for the next call. 520-333-4578 is the number. And for the next hour and 10 minutes, we're going to take calls, and we're going to talk about whatever you want to talk about, the new network, what's happening with the Democratic, or what has happened with the Democratic Convention, what's going on with the election. Good evening, you're on the air.
Good evening, Mr. Cooper. This is Bill in Hendersonville, North Carolina. Just wanted to call in and let you know we followed you down here to 10 o'clock on the East Coast, and wonder what you're going to do with all your extra sleep, since you're not going to be up as late.
Well, believe it or not, I'm going to be up as late as I've always been up. It just means that a part of that lateness that I have not been able to spend with my family is now going to be with them.
I'm just kidding. I'm the one that's probably going to get a little more sleep out of the deal.
Well, that's true. If you live on the East Coast, you're going to get a lot more sleep out of the deal.
No doubt about it. I'm rebroadcasting currently. Don't know exactly the coverage there. And I have found one thing, though, in the summertime, on the low power, the radius is less than in the wintertime. The leaves kill the FM to some degree.
I see. Well, that would depend upon the height of your antenna. If your antenna is above the trees, if you can make it do that, I'm sure that you'll get a lot more coverage, but I don't know your circumstance, and you have to work that out. But
it's power now to work on that, so that's going to come along. But I'm glad that you have done this, and I've got several friends that don't have the satellite capability now, but they're working on it also. But in the meantime, I'm giving them tapes. We'll be giving them tapes of the shows you do. One other thing, did you say it is now going to be a 2-hour program?
Yes, it's going to be 2 hours a night from 7 until 9 Pacific, 8 until 10 Mountain, 9 until 11 Central, and 10 until midnight Eastern.
Okay. You might check with the gentleman that's doing Gary's show. If I understood them correctly, they're under the impression, this is the Friday Night Live show that's on this same bird, they are thinking it's just still an hour show. So you might pass that along to Gary and let him tell the fellow that's doing his show for him.
Well, I think Gary already knows it, and Gary will work that out, and if it's necessary, then we'll do 1 hour on Friday night so that Gary can do his show when he wants to. Gary's a big part of this network, and he certainly has been probably the most helpful person that I have encountered during the last 4 years and 3 months, as far as helping with this broadcast, and as far as helping with the formation and the ability of this network to succeed. I think Gary Bourgeois is going to be an extremely critical and important person.
He must be extremely knowledgeable in the subject. One thing I didn't get in the other night, the ADL tapes were probably the best series, or the best shows, or most memorable. So with that, I'll hang up and let somebody else get in.
Okay, thank you. Also, we're having a sale, just like our January sale that we have had for the last 4 years now, and in order to raise money to make this network a success. And so the tremendous sale that we have every January that people usually wait all year for and really go crazy over, we're doing right now for 30 days. And if you would like the list of sale items, please send us a self-addressed stamp number 10 size business envelope and $1, and we'll certainly send you all of the sales items, and you can go crazy with that.
Yeah, I took advantage of that and got the Mystery Babylon tapes. If they're still available, I would recommend those to all your listeners. The days they're running reruns you don't want to hear, or on the weekend you can plug one of those tapes in, and I'm still trying to soak all that up. So an excellent series there also.
Thank you. Well, it's got to be. It's the only time in the history of the world it's ever been done.
Exactly. Well, have a good night, sir. I'll be listening.
Thank you so much for calling. 520-333-4578 is the number. And I didn't mean to cut him off when he was saying thank you, but I didn't realize that he was going to say it again. So we are on our international debut tonight for the Worldwide Freedom Radio Network and the new Hour of the Time. The number, if you'd like to call in, is 520-333-4578. And I realize that we may have cut our audience down considerably by going off shortwave. I know that there are a lot of satellite listeners out there. And if we don't continue to get calls, then we are going to cut it off at 1 hour until such time as we've increased our listening audience so that we have a continuous number of calls as we have always had. Good evening. You're on the air.
Yes, hi Bill. Ron in California.
Hi, Ron.
Hi, it's a great privilege to be on your last show and on your first show.
You were on the last one.
I tell you, things might seem to be a little slow at first, but I think there's a great potential here. And this is, how all big things get started with the first step, so I'm really excited about it. I have some information to give you.
Okay.
There's a periodical called Radio World.
Yeah.
Radio stations get that, and they have a used, how should I say it, like a classified in the back for used equipment.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that under the categories under transmitters, there's such a thing as a FM exciter. How these things work in an FM station, the exciter is a small transmitter essentially that gets hooked up to an amplifier that delivers, the wattage that professional stations have.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you use the exciter by itself, it essentially is as a miniature transmitter. And they can vary anywhere from 5 to 25 watts. And they go very reasonable in this classified section. I've seen 25-watt transmitters go for $300.
Wow.
So,
could you send me the name and address of that publication so that I could subscribe to it?
Okay, I have a fax number that I can give you right now.
Well, don't give it over the air.
Oh, okay.
Because we'll create a very big problem for them, and we don't want to do that.
I got a noisy line here again. I'm sorry about this.
That's okay.
Noise just drives me nuts when it comes to sound.
Yeah.
And also, I wanted to ask you, what did you think of my idea of maybe printing up some flyers to approach satellite owners in the neighborhood? Because I know that there's actually, if we could get every satellite owner to listen, or at least half of them.
No, there's an easier way to do that. All we have to do is get the mailing list for something like Orbit, our satellite magazines, and just send all of those people, because you don't subscribe to those magazines, you don't get them unless you have a satellite dish.
That's true, but you know how things go when they just wind up on a coffee table. To really get a grassroots feel of this, I know, as I talk to myself.
No, I'm not talking about advertising in those magazines. I'm talking about sending those people a letter.
Oh, I see.
I'm talking about getting the mailing list of the subscribers. All magazines sell their mailing list.
Well, that sounds like a better idea. You know, coming from you, I expect a better idea than just me. But
well, we're going to try that. But the flyer idea is wonderful for all of those of you who live in towns and cities. You can drive around and you see somebody's got a satellite dish on their roof or in their yard, and you just walk up to the door and stick a flyer in their screen door or whatever, or and yeah, that's an excellent idea.
And I was thinking, too, that on such a small wattage, I used to live in Oregon. I used to live in a little town called Glendale, and the only FM station we ever got was from Medford, which was about 60 miles away. So I know there are many burgs out there that could use another FM station, and if you did have 25 watts, it would give good coverage, and you really wouldn't step on anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm constantly confronted with that on the FM dial here, because it's really crowded.
Yeah.
But I know if I lived anywhere else, it'd be no challenge at all to expand. So I'm going to look into that UHF thing on the television.
Okay. I got to cut you off because we got to come up on station break here.
Okay, sir.
Listening to the international debut of the worldwide Freedom Radio Network. We now return you to the hour of the time with William Cooper.
Yes, sir. I was wanting to talk about that video of the missile.
Yes. No, it's not a video. These are photographs.
Oh, I thought it was a video.
No, these are photographs, actual photographs. We know of 3 different people who took photographs of the missile in flight. None of them realized that there was a missile in the air, that they were taking pictures of it at the time that they were taking these photographs. It was upon later examination of the photographs that they took that night, knowing that their camera was pointed in the direction where this explosion of TWA Flight 800 occurred. That they looked closely at the photographs and found that there were pictures of the missile in flight going straight up toward this aircraft. 2 of them are men, 1 of them is a woman. 1 man and 1 woman have made their photographs available to the press, 1 on hard copy, 1 on Good Morning America or whatever it was, and the other one has chosen to remain anonymous.
Well, there hasn't been a whole lot of coverage. I mean, it came out one day last week, and that was the last I heard of it.
Oh, the government does not want you to know that a missile shot down TWA 800. for whatever purpose, and I believe the purpose to be is because they want to blame it upon some domestic terrorists so that they could take more of our creator-endowed rights and the guarantee of those rights away from us and force Americans closer into the coming New World totalitarian socialist state.
Well, I appreciate the information, and I sent off for Veritas, and hopefully I'll get some copies pretty soon.
Fantastic.
Thank you very much.
Now remember, we skipped a whole issue, and we don't publish them according to a time schedule. So don't be concerned if you don't get an issue right away or in the next 3 or 4 weeks, because we had our original staff quit. I'm having to learn the program from scratch, and to be able to produce the paper in the quality and the visual graphical excellence that it's always been done. It's going to take me a little while to do that, but we will get the next issue out as soon as possible. And we're also going to try to get it out more often than we have before. So you can look forward to that. Thank you for calling. 520-333-4578 is the number. Good evening. You're on the air.
Hey, good evening, Bill.
Hello.
This is Joe in New Orleans. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing fine.
Picking you up on the satellite?
Yes, in fact, I've never felt better in years.
Wonderful. Listen, are you open to a little constructive criticism?
Of course.
Oh, all right, great. Listen, I've been listening to your show for about a year and a half. I'll say that it has illuminated me. It's one of your buzzwords, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Good. I've learned a lot. And I'll tell you what, though, the month of August has really been a disaster. It was wasted too much time with fighting with, this one and that one. Of course, you had a lot of trouble. Bill, you're too valuable a person to be messing around. In other words, when you give information, good information like you do, you're the absolute best there is, bar none. And I really appreciate when you give information because you give your sources and you're very thorough on your information, and I love that. But sometimes, and of course, I realize that we live in an imperfect world and you have to deal with imperfect people, and you get a lot of problems. But let's say August was a very shallow month. Now, I don't care to listen to like you. I can't handle CNN and all that other stuff because it's the garbage. And I'll be honest, I guess I'm lazy, but I rely on you and some reading I do for most of the tough issues. And when you don't give them, I don't get any good information. You understand where I'm coming from?
I understand perfectly where you're coming from.
Top of the line, when you're given hard information, you can't get it anywhere else. Like, for instance, you exposed that missile thing. That was it. You had it first before anybody even started talking about it.
That's correct.
You exposed a lot of other things.
That's because we had our people up there interviewing witnesses all along the beaches, and we have to this date found over 300 eyewitnesses to the missile launched from sea that hit that aircraft.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. A friend of mine is a deputy here, and of course, now this is, you probably may not accept this, take it for exactly what it's worth. But he has a friend in Naval Intelligence in Washington, D.C., and he calls and talks to him about this mess. He said, can you tell me anything about it? He said, well, I'll tell you what happened. He said, I'll tell you what happened. It was one of our ships. I accidentally shot the thing down. They said it was a ship that did it. And he also said the two pilots that flew the aircraft, their history. They've been transferred out of the country. Now, that's hearsay information. Take it for exactly what it's worth.
Well, we'll find out over a period of time where those two pilots are, and we'll also find out whether it was a ship or a submarine. We tend to believe at this time, with the information that we have, that it was probably fired from a submarine, and we believe that information is pretty solid. But when your person talked to that individual, he could have been referring to a submarine by saying ship. It depends upon who you're talking to and what their education is and what branch of the naval service they're in as to what they call submarines.
Right.
People who are in the submarine service always refer to a submarine as a boat.
Oh, how about that? That's right, because you were in a submarine.
That's right. I was in submarine service and served on the USS Tyre, SS-416. And so all submariners refer to their vessels as a boat.
Oh.
And all surface mariners refer to anything that floats upon or under the sea as a ship.
Very good. I'm learning something every day. Listen, Bill, we love you, and I think since you're on the satellite, I have a satellite dish, and I'm trying to figure out a way that I can rebroadcast your signal. I'm trying to toy it out with my wife right now.
All you need is a low-power transmitter, and I got to tell you, my friend, they're very inexpensive. Send us a letter and tell us that you want to do that, you want to be a network affiliate. I'll send you all the information, then you can make a decision.
Hey, listen, one other question. You think of adding to a new Behold the Pale Horse, perhaps?
I'm working on 3 other books concurrently, have been for some time, and I'm really having a problem drawing the line of when I should end these books, because it just goes on and on.
But you only got 24 hours in a day, too, right?
Oh, you have no idea what I am involved in, and how hard I work, and how many people are helping, and I wish I could tell you all those things, but if I did, we wouldn't be very effective in what we do.
Well, you know, Bill, I can understand your frustration sometimes, because when you begin sharing some of this information with people, I realize, what empathy is. Empathy is feeling something. I know the frustration you must be going through, because the information is available to you and trying to convey it to other people, and to think that most of them reject it, or, just think you're crazy, or don't want to listen, or whatever, must be extremely frustrating to you.
Oh, it is, and it's also extremely frustrating when things occur that bring up the situations to which you have so appropriately objected to tonight.
Great, listen, love your show. I don't want to tie your show up tonight. First, and listen, I'll send you a copy of it. I'm making a tape of this.
Great, wonderful. I really appreciate that. I'll send you something for that tape.
And great, listen, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
520-333-4578 is the number. You're listening to the Hour of the Time on the Worldwide Freedom Radio Network. Pretty soon, within the next few weeks, you will see that there are going to be other broadcasters and other programs that will be added to the network. You're also going to find that there will be AM and FM stations across the country that will pick up this network or portions of our network broadcasting. And you will be listening to this broadcast on low-power FM stations all across this country and hopefully all across the world. Because this is not just an American broadcast. This is a broadcast about freedom. It's a broadcast concerning principles and ideals. It's about how to maintain the ultimate achievement of all humankind, and that is the ability for people to live free, responsibly, within the law, under morals, principles to which they adhere, that protect society and families and individuals, and being responsible for their transgressions, and not always looking for a way out or to be the victim or somebody to protect them, accept their responsibility, accept whatever punishment or whatever that may bring to them, get on with their life. Good evening, you're on the air.
William, this is Russell Harrison, Houston.
Hello, Russell. Glad to hear from you.
I just wanted to say regarding low-power FM broadcasting, I'm a degreed engineer. I've got an amateur radio license. And from that perspective, I know there is a great deal of misinformation regarding antennas. Yet the antenna is probably more important than any other element in the system.
You're absolutely correct.
The signal purity is determined by the transmitter, largely, but the antenna determines whether the signal actually gets out or not.
Mm-hmm.
There is a very common misconception that what CBers call SWR, or standing wave ratio, that a 1-to-1 standing wave ratio means that your antenna is working properly. However, you can take a dummy load, which radiates absolutely no power, and will give you, or guaranteed to give you, a 1-to-1 standing wave ratio, and that in itself demonstrates the fallacy of going on the basis of FWR as far as antenna performance.
Okay, you got to understand that people who know nothing about the technicalities of the equipment that you're talking about didn't understand anything that you said, including me. So,
okay, I realize I did just merely, it almost had to be said by way of background, but nevertheless, what I would strongly suggest, people need to be aware of the fact that antennas that vary widely in performance in terms of the signal that they radiate, and in terms of their efficiency, it is not at all uncommon for an antenna to waste roughly 50% of the power fed to it.
well, we certainly don't want that to happen.
Well, and what I'm saying is a little bit of improvement in the antenna can do more. In other words, if you have a 10-watt transmitter, rather than going to a 20-watt transmitter, you'd be much better off improving your antenna.
I think that's fantastic advice. How do we learn how to do that?
Well, basically you need to get a competent antenna designer, but there is a reference source for people who want to get a little bit of background on this. There's an organization called the American Radio Relay League, ARRL. You've had a run-in with them.
I had a big run-in with them, and I have a great objection to that organization the fact that they believe that they are working for the United States government rather than that they are an organization of United States of American citizens, or citizens of their states, who are licensed radio operators who have consented to be subject to the rules of the FCC, and now they are trying to play big brother to the rest of us and become some kind of little federal agents, and that really, to put it very bluntly, pisses me off to no end.
I understand that. Nevertheless, they are the publisher of one of the most widely used and most valuable reference manuals on antenna design. And I would like to recommend their antenna book, the ARRL antenna book, which can be had for, in the neighborhood of $10 to $20 at most electronic shops and amateur radio stores and such as that.
And where do people find these stores?
Well, if
you looked in the yellow pages of the phone book, what would you look under?
Sometimes amateur radio, sometimes radio and electronics. If you don't have objections of writing directly, you can order the publication from the ARRL. Would you like their address by any chance?
No, I would like for them to go and give their money to some radio store rather than to the ARRL.
Really?
Because if you give it to the ARRL, they not only get back the cost of publication, but they derive a profit, and because of the way that they operate their organization, I strongly object to that. I'd rather that the profit go to some electronics small businessman who really can use the money and put it to good use, rather than somebody who wants to become a little Hitler and add to the problems of the American people by persecuting their neighbors.
I understand. Nevertheless, the ARRL antenna book is widely used.
I have no objection to that. What is the name of the book?
The ARRL antenna book.
Oh, okay.
It's widely used as a reference book by electronic engineers dealing with radio frequency design.
Okay.
It's recognized as an authoritative work. But just briefly, the general principles you want to look for in a good antenna, you want to see, for this frequency range, you want to see large diameters, in other words, tubes instead of wires.
Now, wait a minute.
The diameter, the better.
Say that again.
You want to see tubes used instead of wires. You'll have typically a vertical element and 3 or 4 or 5 radials.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Tubular steel or tubular...
aluminum, yes.
Okay.
Instead of the larger diameter increases the efficiency.
Yeah, you got to remember that when you're talking on radio, we can't see what you're talking about. You have to explain in detail. That's something I had to get used to 4 years ago, was when I was talking on radio, making sure that the audience understood what I understood, because they very seldom do. So when you say tubes instead of wire, you're talking about tubular steel or tubular aluminum or whatever antennas are made of, rather than wire or solid rods. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, and the larger the diameter, the better. A fat antenna is generally better than a skinny antenna.
Okay.
And also, if things are silver-plated, in some cases, $10 or $20 worth of silver plating will do marvels as far as the conductivity and the efficiency of the antenna.
How easy is it to find these things silver-plated? I mean, I've been at Radio Shack and a lot of electronics stores. I've never, to my knowledge, seen an antenna that was silver-plated.
Most antennas will be made of aluminum tubing. From a practical standpoint, about as good as you can get. But if a person wanted to build his own and make it out of, for instance, copper tubing, that would be even better. And then still better than that would be to take the copper tubing and silver-plate it. Because at radio frequencies, the currents flow on the surface. And so the thin layer of plating, if you could silver plate plastic, you would be doing as well as having a solid copper conductor. Anyway, just general designs to things to look for, but a lot of people will try to sell you their antenna and say it's better because mine has a lower SWR than yours has. And SWR, which is, you will hear that term sooner or later.
Standing wave something, right?
Standing wave ratio.
Okay.
And SWR in the environment we're talking about is almost meaningless.
Okay.
Almost completely meaningless. And so if you have someone selling his antenna on the basis of SWR, he's probably a huckster that you should avoid.
So if somebody really wanted to do a good antenna, if they could find out who makes a good antenna and go down and like if that antenna costs them $50, they could take that home and look at it, or they could just go down and look at it in the store and take measurements and stuff. Then they could go buy the copper tubing, have the copper tubing silver plated, and make their own. Is that what you're saying?
That's essentially, they might have to get help from a local radio amateur, but radio amateurs are generally more than willing to help. The only problem is finding one who knows something about antennas. And there again, that's something that unfortunately few people, amateur radio operators or otherwise, understand.
Yeah. Also, I have to tell you, folks, that the local amateur radio operator is going to try to tell you that you have to be licensed to do what you're going to do, and I'm going to have to tell you to ignore that and just do what you want to do and do it right, unless you're inordinately afraid of the federal Big Daddy color of law bullshit artist, and then in that case, you have to react to your own fears.
Okay, well, I wish you well on this venture. I'm going to do my best to get myself a low-power FM rig. And
fantastic.
What we can do, I've been getting you by satellite.
That's great, because that's the only way. You see, everything is so controlled. And I have realized over the last 4 years and 3 months that they intentionally kept me on that late hour so that I would have and even with their machinations, I had the largest shortwave audience of any shortwave broadcaster in this country, bar none. Over 10 million listeners worldwide. The volume of mail that came in here was something that would have made Rush Limbaugh jealous. And it just didn't work. And so I think their machinations in the end were designed mainly to be able to do what they're doing now. And you're going to find that the broadcasters that you're going to see on shortwave WWCR are going to be the ones who promote rumors and unfounded allegations and don't document and don't source and are admitted Zionists, admitted fellow travelers, and so on and so forth. So be very cautious and remember my admonition. Listen to everyone, read everything, believe nothing unless you can absolutely prove it, and you'll be safe.
One thing that really excites me, Houston, a city the size of Houston is about 25 miles across. Nevertheless, about a dozen well-placed low-power FM
could blanket the whole city.
Could blanket the city
with the same broadcast simultaneously over the same frequency, and it would just be fantastic.
It'd sure be nice to be able to listen to you on the car radio rather than have to rush home to get home in time to turn on the satellite or shortwave.
Yes, it would, and I think this should be exciting to a lot of people. I mean, this is a revolution in broadcasting, and we're taking the control out of the manipulators and the liars and the controllers, and we're putting it back in the hands of the people. Thank you for calling.
Sure.
The Hour of the Time is brought to you by Swiss America Trading. They're down in Phoenix, and they're sitting on a whole vault full of real money that they're willing to help you get your hands on. These people have done so much to help preserve the freedoms of all Americans, the Creator-endowed rights. They have helped to educate so many people that I couldn't even begin to do them justice in a small commercial advertisement such as this. They have lost a lot of business by taking a stand, by drawing a line in the sand, by sponsoring broadcasts such as this. Craig Smith is a dear, dear friend. I admire him. I respect him. We don't always agree on everything, but we do agree on one thing, and that is all Americans must be free. They must live in responsibility, and they must be able to make their own choices, including me, including him, including all of you. Craig has devoted his life to creating a company that is there to help all of us who believe in freedom regain the power of financial and economic independence through the ownership of non-reportable, non-confiscatable hard assets, real money that has been honored and respected by all peoples in all countries on all continents who speak all different languages throughout this entire world, without exception. This is the money that the only economies that have ever existed in the world that have not failed have been based upon. Our economy now is based upon counterfeit, phony. It's not even money. It's just paper, upon which are printed many lies. This type of economy has never in the history of the world succeeded. And all you need to do is go to your library and study a little bit of history to find out that that's absolutely true. 1-800-289-2646 is the number. That's 1-800-289-2646. Ladies and gentlemen, call now. Thank them for sponsoring the Hour of the Time and the Worldwide Freedom Radio Network. Ask them for a current copy of the newsletter or Craig's current paper, and ask them how you can get your hands on some real money. 1-800-289-2646. That's 1-800-BUY-COIN. Do it now. Good evening. You're on the air.
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Oh, fantastic. I just can't believe how clear it is over the phone. I've been listening on satellite for about a year now, and I've been making tapes, and you said it was okay as long as I wasn't charging, and I'm not. And it goes to all the truckers that go in and out of our facility.
Fantastic.
I want to get into the micro broadcasting, and I'll be sending you a letter.
Wonderful.
It's just so clear. I can understand why some people hesitate because it just doesn't sound real, but you're there.
Oh, yes. I am here, and it is real, and we are going to revolutionize radio broadcasting, and I hope it's going to happen throughout the world, not just here.
My name is John from Reading, Pennsylvania, and we're going to try and get something worked out over here. Just want to let you know. I want to wish you the best, and to all your family. And my favorite show, you had so many. One that really choked me up was when you had the one about meeting your wife and finally getting married.
Oh, well, thank you.
I have.
Yeah, that was, gosh, I did that, boy, I can't even remember when I did it. But, yeah, that's quite a story, huh?
If you need tonight's broadcast, I'm already recording both hours.
Great. Yeah, I would appreciate it. And if you'd send me a copy, I'll send you something in return.
Okay, I know the other callers probably want to get through. I don't know how many people are calling. I went to a payphone because I unfortunately work for Uncle Sam. I'm using a calling card, and anybody wants to call in who's worried about their job because they work for the government, just buy one of these anonymous calling cards. Get the maximum you can afford, and just go to a payphone.
Guess what? We're going to be able to make those available as a part of the way to sponsor this network. And they're only, we've got the price down to 30 cents a minute, which is compared to all of the rates of the regular long-distance carriers. That's fantastic. It's great for truck drivers and anybody else.
What about public access on cable, broadcasting your show, instead of having just music in the background with the call going with the community bulletins?
Well, you'd have to talk to your community cable system, and they have to provide a public access channel. And if there is time available where no television programming is being broadcast, you could broadcast just sound because they have to make it available to the public. That's the law.
That's all right by you then?
That's all right by me. Oh, yes. Oh, yes, yes. The more that we can broadcast the truth to the people of the world, the better all of us are going to be.
So everybody out here in Pennsylvania loves you, and a lot of us are heartbroken because you're not on shortwave. I've told people for months, maybe even a year now, go look to the Penny Saver, the Merchandise, all these different magazines to find used systems, and I did it, and I got a 5-foot KU, and I converted it to C-band, and it worked great.
Fantastic. That's wonderful. How much did it cost you?
$285.
Oh, you got a great deal.
Well, another $150 for the C upgrade, but that's about it.
Well, you still got a great deal. I mean, it's cheaper than what we're offering now for, and it's the cheapest we can get, but it's top of the line equipment.
Yeah, it's a very good dish. Is that a polar mount or an azimuth mount?
That I don't know. We'll have to get Gary Bourgeois in here, and maybe if he's listening, he could call in and answer that question.
Okay, the reason I asked is...
And I know he's listening. He always listens.
The reason I asked, and I'll cut it as short as possible, because if you're going to move to a different satellite, which you had mentioned...
We are, within the next 1 to 3 months, that's a given. You can count on it.
Okay, it's a little bit easier with a polar mount. I'm not saying it's impossible because I'm using it, moved it from satellite to satellite. It's just a matter of moving a rod or having the motor move it. With the azimuth adjustment, you have to make 2 adjustments. It's a little tricky. It's not impossible, but it's a little harder. It just takes a little more work. but I think that's probably what you have, but I can't say for sure.
Okay.
And I want to thank
I'll find out from Gary and let you know for sure.
a piece of paper on his on the website, wherever he has. Somebody downloaded. I didn't know Gary Bourgeois had wrote the thing until I read the end of it. It's all about satellite reception.
Yeah, we're also going to find out his website, and we're going to let you know over this broadcast. Or if you listen to the network, you'll hear it over his broadcast, because he does have a network site where you can not only download things that he's written that are just absolutely wonderful,
Very knowledgeable.
but I believe that he also has a satellite, a website where you can listen to his radio show.
I didn't know that.
I think he does. Now you have to understand he's been very sick for a while.
He sounds really great too now.
Oh, he feels great. He feels much better. And I know that he had that website where you could actually listen to his broadcast before he became ill. I don't know if he still has it, but if he does, then, we're going to let you know where you can go on the web and listen to that.
Okay, well, God bless you. Keep up the good work.
Gary's one of my favorite people, and I'll do anything that I can to get you all to listen to Gary, because everything that he broadcasts is educational and is helpful to all of us.
I thought he was a professor or at least a teacher, because he is so thorough. It's incredible. He even mentioned people that I had known about that people don't even know about on the satellite. He knew all about him. He says this guy will be on air forever. And I said, this guy really knows the subject.
Well, he does, and he's been in broadcasting and satellite stuff for many, many years. Gary's an old-timer in all of this stuff, and radio and satellite and all of these things. And he knows what he's talking about.
Getting you two guys together was a godsend.
Well, I can tell you that it was a godsend, and I thank God every day for that relationship.
All right, I don't know how back up to the call list, but I want to give somebody else a chance. Thank you very much, and keep up good work. God bless you.
You're welcome. Thank you for calling.
Okay, bye-bye.
520-333-4578 is the number. By golly, I think we're off to a real good start tonight with this premiere debut broadcast internationally of the Worldwide Freedom Radio Network, and the first broadcast of the new Hour of the Time, which is 2 hours each night. And if that conflicts with something Gary wants to do on Friday night, it'll be 1 hour on Friday night, because we don't have to do 2 hours every night. We have to do what's going to work for us, and what's going to make this network work for all of us, and what's going to make everybody who's a part of this network happy, so that this network can work for all of us. And that's the most important thing that there is, because this has to work. I mean, if we don't make this work, then we have lost media forever. Think about that. If we don't make this work, if we can't gain back the airwaves, we have lost media forever. Good evening. You're on the air.
Hi, Bill.
Hi.
It's Saber in Texas.
Hi. How are you?
Doing good. I need to check. I listen on satellite. Did you hear about an arrest of some people making bombs and stealing radium from Northrop in Suffolk County, Long Island on June 19th? 3 days before the plane blew up.
Yes, but that has nothing to do with any. These are UFO loony bin type people who go around promoting all this UFO wacko stuff.
Okay.
And these people have been doing crazy things for years. Has nothing to do with TWA, Flight 800 or anything else. Just happens to do with some of the ufologists.
Okay. Well, I couldn't remember. I just remembered I had it somewhere on video, and I was going to try to find it if it was anything that...
Oh, I get a big, thick file on these guys. They're to tell you the truth, even if they wanted to, and even if they tried to, they probably would never have hurt anybody, because they're just... They're incompetent. Totally incompetent and nutso wacko, out of this world, and I mean that literally.
Yeah. Okay, well, I just wanted to check on that and congratulate you on your first broadcast. Sound great.
Thank you. And this may turn out to be one of the greatest historic events in the history of broadcasting if we actually manage, and I believe that we're going to be able to do it, to take the airwaves away from the establishment media. If we can establish a network of low-power FM transmitters, and if we can make these satellite systems available to people for the same price as a real good shortwave radio, we can actually take all the listeners away from all these liars and deceivers and manipulators, and we can establish a network that, for once in the history of broadcasting, people will be able to listen to and be reasonably confident that they're listening to the truth. And we will always give the admonition that they should not believe anyone until they've checked it out for themselves. But we're going to establish a track record of being right.
Yeah. Well, God bless in your endeavors, and tell Annie and the girls hi.
Well, thank you.
God bless.
And it's not just our endeavors, it's yours too.
I know.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night. 520-333-4578 is the number. You know, folks, I can't tell you how good I feel about this broadcast tonight. I haven't felt good, really, in my heart about things for a long time. But this I feel really good about. I'm really uplifted by this. I feel wonderful about this. I feel great about the earlier time slot. I feel great about the number of letters that I have received from people who want to participate in the new network, who want to be a part of this, who want to bring the airwaves back to the American people and back to truth and not lies and not deception. And not just the American people, but the people of the world. There are many people in foreign countries listening to us on satellite tonight. You're not aware of that, most of you, but it's the truth. Good evening, you're on the air.
Yeah, Bill, this is Dan from Abilene.
Hi, Dan.
I want to give you a couple of verses. That antenna book that Ron was talking about, sometimes some of the Radio Shacks carry either that book or another antenna book that they have, so they might be able to get it through there.
Okay. Radio Shack also has quite a few very helpful books. I don't know how helpful they're going to be to us or to people who want to set up an FM broadcasting station, but I do know that Radio Shack carries an awful lot of books and manuals, and if they're not on the shelf in your local Radio Shack store, you can order them from their catalog, and it doesn't take very long for them to come in either.
Yeah. At some of the amateur places, I know you don't want to advertise. I had a name, a number, a toll-free number on one company that does sell the books, and
yeah, you have to remember this network has to work.
Yeah.
And so we cannot advertise anyone unless they pay for that advertising. We'll be happy to advertise anybody who wants to pay for it.
Right.
And the products that we're going to recommend to our broadcasters will do it through the mail and not over the air.
Yeah.
And also, all of you need to go to your local radio stations, both AM and FM. If they like a talk format, you need to go to them, and you need to demand that they carry the Worldwide Freedom Radio Network, or at least the hour of the time.
Right. Yeah. Gary also has a book out, too. I think I called you that night and was telling you. I didn't get the name of it yet, but he...
Yeah, you know what happened? Somehow he lost the files in his computer, and the guy that was publishing the book failed to publish it or something, and so Gary's rewriting it right now, and we're going to, Harvest Trust will publish it and make it available to all of you.
Okay, yeah, because he has names.
Plus a good royalty to Gary for doing it.
Yeah, and he has names, and there are companies that make those transmitters and antennas and that. So.
Oh, Gary has a wealth of information that we haven't even begun to tap, and we're going to drill into his head, and we're going to suck it all out slowly but surely. And, Gary loves this just as much as we do.
Yeah, I was going to mention this morning, too, I only caught the tail end of it, that people that think that Dole is a lot different, he made some statement about in his fight with drugs and that, where he was going to back up the police. Evidently, he wants to plan to use the National Guard. So I don't know what he figures happened to Popsy Comitatus.
Well, it's like I've always said, it doesn't matter whether you vote for Clinton or Dole or Ross Perot. You're going to get the same thing. You're going to get the New World Order, and you're either going to get it faster or a little slower, but you're going to get it, and you're going to become a slave.
Right. Yeah.
These people sold out years ago. They have no heart. They have no soul. They are not Americans. They are traitors. They're despicable. In my estimation, this is my opinion. They are the scum and the sludge that you can find in any old rotten pond.
Yeah. The other expanse, too, I'm sure you thought this way, too. A couple of people I'm hoping we might be able to hear again, because I haven't for a long time, and that's Linda Thompson and Anthony Hilder.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. If we can get them on this network, we are, but we're going to have to hold them to their promise that they're going to do a little more documenting than they have in the past.
Right.
Because we cannot sensationalize, we cannot rumorize, we cannot do all of the things that some people have done. Linda's a little impulsive, but she's a great American patriot. She is our Joan of Arc. Yeah. Anthony Hilder was doing this long before I ever dreamed of doing any of this stuff, and we owe him all a great debt of gratitude, but he tends to sensationalize and rumor monger at times. And if we can convince them to hold these things in check, then they'll be welcome broadcasters on this network. If not, then they won't be.
Yeah.
And it will have nothing to do with how much I love them or how much we owe them or how wonderful they really are. It will just be that we have standards that must be adhered to.
Right. Okay. Okay, I appreciate it. Off to a great start. Hope to be calling you again soon.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Good night. 520-333-4578 is the number. I had something on the tip of my tongue that I really wanted to tell you all, and in speaking to the last caller, it's sort of slipped my mind. Good evening. You're on the air.
Hey, Bill, how you doing?
Oh, I'm ecstatic tonight. I am so happy I cannot express it. I don't have the words.
You sound kind of mellow tonight.
Well, I am mellow. I'm happy. It's a new format. It's a new thing. It's a new venture. It's a revolution. I think it's probably one of the most important things we've ever done. It's much more important than me or anybody else. I'm really just caught up in this.
Hey, I learned something on your program tonight. I guess Poopy Diapers doesn't have a satellite.
Well, don't be too hasty there, because he could manifest himself anytime.
You'll probably get one just to call up and terrorize you some more.
He might try that.
Hey, I was wondering, are you gonna have any religious topics on your network?
No, this is not going to be a religious broadcast. You have to understand that freedom means that everyone has the right to worship at the altar of their choice, whatever that altar may be. And if we do not allow other people to do that, then there could be somebody rise to power who will not allow us to do that. For us to be able to be free to worship the God of our choice, we must be willing to allow others to worship the God of their choice.
I agree. That way we'll find out whose God is who. I was just thinking maybe somebody like a Tex Mars, who's kind of a buddy of yours, I guess.
Well, I would love to have Tex Mars broadcast if he would stick to facts and exposés and stuff like that. But if he's going to proselytize for his religion, it would be just the same as me proselytizing for my religion, and that would be wrong. Because this is an information network. This is a freedom network. Freedom means we don't tell you who to worship. You decide that for yourself. And if whoever's God is the right God, then that will all come out in the end. And you have to understand that any God who would tell you that if you believe this or that, they're going to burn you at the stake or destroy you or throw you out because you're a heretic or whatever, in my estimation, is not the true God. Because if there is anything other than free choice, and you answer for it after you die, when you go to face the real maker, whoever that may be, and I have a feeling I know who that is, but I may be wrong, according to many of you. I don't think I am according to me. But when you go meet your maker, then you answer for it. You don't answer to me or anybody else here on this earth.
Yeah, and you shouldn't really interfere with anybody on this earth.
That's exactly right.
Right. But I called you once before. You did a really neat expose on the New Testament right before the Oklahoma City bombing. In fact, your series got interrupted, and I called you and asked you if you were ever going to finish that. And you said, no, it got interrupted. I'm never going to do it.
No, I can't, because when I get on a roll, I have to be able to continue it. If there's an interruption, it just destroys my whole purpose and my train of thought and everything, and I don't like to do that. The Oklahoma City bombing was so important that it had to interrupt that, and it had to be discussed and talked about. And so that got interrupted. Maybe at some future date, when I get back in the mood to do that, maybe we will. As long as I can document it and source it, then we'll talk about those things. And religion is not out of bounds if it can be documented and sourced, not based upon belief or based upon what Scripture says, but based upon actual historical incidents and what can be documented as what we know as the truth.
Then when you say that, it kind of scares me. That makes me believe you might get somebody like Jordan Maxwell on there.
Jordan Maxwell has an awful lot of accurate information. And you have to understand that the reason he's not on here is because he has an agenda to destroy Christianity right now. And he's a vicious, hateful person right now. A long time ago when he first started, he wasn't. And I did have him on, and he was very educational, very bright, and a lot of people learned a lot of things.
What happened?
Well, I don't know what happened. You'll have to ask him, but somebody made him very bitter, and he has a wolf eating his heart. And told that is taken care of, and he's the only one that can do it. I don't know what.
Kind of got off on the tangent that he's always been excluded from any mainstream.
Maybe that's what's made him bitter.
But I mean, how could he expect not to be? I mean, some of the pablum they're putting out is just unbelievable.
Well, that's true, but maybe from you'd have to talk to him because I can't speak for him. Anyway, we're out of time.
Okay.
Thank you.
God bless.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen, and God bless you all. You have been listening to the international debut of the Worldwide Freedom Radio Network. At this time, we are signing off. Please stay tuned tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Pacific, 8 Mountain, 9 Central, and 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for another edition of the Hour of the Time on the Worldwide Freedom Radio Network.